Good evening. It's now 5:01, and the regular session of the Planning Commission of the City of Lancaster will please come to order. Tonight, I will offer the invocation, and Commissioner Cook will offer the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand? Shall we all pray together for his guidance? We gather this evening to make Planning Commission decisions for our community. May we use only our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and challenges of each matter that we consider before us. As we deliberate, guide us to always act in accordance with what is best for our community and our fellow citizens. Dinah?
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have the roll call, please?
Chairman Bowes,
Present.
Vice Chair Sandy Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Diana Cook,
Present.
Commissioner Sylvia Donovan,
Here.
Commissioner Cassandra Harvey,
Present.
Commissioner King Moore,
Present.
Commissioner Rutger Paris.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Public business from the floor. If an individual, any person who would like to address the Planning Commission on any agendized item is requested to complete a speaker's card for the recording secretary, identifying the item you wish to discuss. Each person will then be given an opportunity to address the commission at the time the items are called for discussion. Speaker cards are available at the rear of the chamber, and individual speakers would be limited to 3 minutes each. Give you an idea of how we operate here if you haven't been here before. Typically, our action items, staff will make a presentation. Then oftentimes the applicant has an opportunity to present their portion of the case. We then give the public an opportunity to give their comments, and at the end of the public comment portion, the applicant then has an opportunity to rebut. The applicant's time, however, is not limited other than to a length of time that we may tolerate. It's not limited any specific time. For the first item on our agenda is the minutes of our meeting of November 26, 2018. May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I second.
Thank you. At our staff briefing, I mentioned there was a correction, and I don't know if it got picked up on the minutes. Under the invocation, it called out Chairman Moore. You did? You corrected that to Commissioner? Cool. I thought since it was in the minutes, he'd probably get a salary increase. 0 to 0, that's pretty good, right? Not bad. All right, anything else on the minutes? No? All right then, please vote. Did you break it?
I think so. I have to reset it.
You want to reset it, please?
I'm sorry.
It's all right. We're not ready yet. Hold on. It's got to blink first before.
Why don't you just take this by voice vote for now, and we'll try to get IT down here for the next matters.
So Commissioner Donovan broke it, so now we have to get IT down here? Is that how it's going to be?
Sorry.
All right, by voice vote, please. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Motion carries 7-0.
Abstention.
Pardon?
I abstain.
Oh, you abstained, all right. 6-0 with one abstention. Thank you. All right, first item, the next item in our new public hearings. These are 3 of them, I believe. For the record, before we open the public hearings, we've received communication on item number 4, what's called a letter which indicates the applicant on item number 4 accepts the conditions as recommended by staff. On item number 2 and number 3, we did not receive any communication. We did receive a memorandum from staff that we had requested regarding alcohol beverage control licenses in the city relative to all the types of alcohol beverage sales that are being conducted currently in the city, or at least licenses. So, item number 2, so without objection, we open the public hearing on conditional use permit 18-12. And Ms. Magana.
Good evening, Chairman Mose and members of the Commission. The item before you is a request for a conditional use permit number 18-12 to allow for the operation and construction of a 10,928 square foot medical cannabis cultivation and manufacturing facility located at 166 West Avenue J5. The proposed project is located within the light industrial zoning designation. The project site contains a 5,116 square foot building and a paved parking lot. Phase 1 of the development consists of an interior and exterior remodel of the existing 5,116 square foot industrial building for cannabis cultivation and manufacturing. The building will contain a cultivation canopy for mature plants of 2,096 square feet, 150 square feet of manufacturing, and 2,870 square feet of office/other space. The parking lot would be located along the westerly portion of the property line along Yucca Avenue. There will be 5 parking spaces with 1 accessible parking spot. The entire development would be fenced with a controlled entrance off West Avenue J5. Phase 2 of the development consists of a 5,812 square foot addition along the southerly side of the building that will consist of a cultivation canopy of 2,048 square feet, 230 square feet of manufacturing, and 3,534 square feet of office/other space. The proposed project as a whole will consist of 10,928 square feet building, which contains 4,144 square feet of cultivation canopy of mature plants, 380 square feet of manufacturing, and 6,404 square feet of office and other space. Additionally, as you can see here on the elevations, the proposed project complies with the city's design guidelines. The design of the proposed medical cannabis cultivation and manufacturing facility implements a high-quality industrial development and will be landscaped throughout the entire site. So the elevations are up here on the screen, and then we do have some renderings here for you. The facility would use a negative pressure environment and a carbon filter system for odor filtration to remove unwanted smells. The applicant would establish a waste disposal system by utilizing a company for cannabis waste management solutions. All green waste would be stored within the building. The proposed facility would have a security lighting camera, 24-hour patrol officer, and a real-time monitored camera system. A detailed security plan was submitted, and the city's public safety office deemed it adequate for the proposed use. In conclusion, staff is recommending approval of CUP 18-12 with modifications to the conditions list to eliminate conditions number 19, 25, and 27.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions of staff before we hear from the applicant or any speakers?
There are no speakers on this item.
No speakers, no applicant?
The applicant is here this evening.
Anyone have any questions of the applicant before we proceed? No? I forgot to mention earlier this evening, this commission meets typically the week prior to this meeting in this setting, in a public meeting. However, we do not vote. We listen to staff for each of the proposed agenda items before us, and we ask our questions that we may have relative to that, although we do not deliberate nor do we vote. So some folks would think, gee whiz, they just considered an item, staff gave the report, they approved it and moved on. And that is often the case because most of our questions, if not all, have been asked and answered. However, in this particular case, since the applicant has not provided us with a letter indicating they agree with the conditions that staff is recommending, I have to hear from the applicant, and they get the opportunity to come forward and have a chance to have a little chat. So whomever the applicant is, they should present themselves to the podium and we'll have a discussion.
Hello.
Hello, you're GMAE Lancaster LLC, huh?
Yes, Rich Moody.
That's an interesting name.
It's an abbreviation for my partner's family,
And what's your name?
Richard Moody.
Richard Moody?
Moody. I'm one of the co-founders.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you
And the
very much.
question I have for you, have you reviewed the staff's recommendation relative to the conditions of this project?
Yes, I have.
And do you agree with them all?
There's some clarifications that we need. We agree with the majority of them, but there were some clarifications on the engineering side that we need to meet with the planning department to go over.
Then I would recommend to my colleagues that a motion be offered to continue this matter for a month, and then you'll have that opportunity.
Okay.
Who'd like to make that motion?
Real quick, what are the issues you have? Are they small issues? Are they?
They're small issues.
How many
we-
of them are there?
Probably about 4 or 5.
4 or 5? Can you give us a rundown real quick on what they are?
So we got the documents on Friday, so I reviewed them over the weekend, prepared some responses to them, but to give you some examples, one of the examples is when we were meeting with the engineers, city engineers, on the traffic side, they wanted us to install all the underground conduit and pull boxes for future street lighting. And the project right now has a curb and gutter, but it has no sidewalk. So we've agreed to put in the underground for those future streetlights. But one of the things was added on was to install the streetlights. That's one example. One other example is,
Real quick, just so I understand, city engineers were requesting they install the street light.
correct,
That is
Where?
correct.
Where? Where on that map?
I don't know. It hasn't been, that's one of my questions, was where. There was no demarcation, so we requested further information.
Okay, they're gonna find that. What's the next one?
The next one was the city street is beyond its wear and tear, the entire street, from Yucca, from the end of the block to our end of the block. And it requests that we repave from the center line of the street, but it didn't have a demarcation in the documentation to say where we start and end. So we wanted clarification on where that was going to take place.
You know,
We weren't sure if it was going to be
Commissioner
the
Paris,
Yeah.
entire.
these are items that typically are dealt with by staff during the development phase of the project, and
They definitely seem to be a little too detailed for us to be able to handle right here. But I was hoping with just 4 or 5 that they'd be easier than that, and we'd be able to help you with that. But I think Chairman Vos is correct, that we're probably gonna have to continue this out so we can get a handle on those 5 for you, okay?
Okay, that's not a problem. I think we can definitely get through them. All the other issues that I read through were agreeable, so there was just a few minor things.
All right, yeah, then we're gonna have to, we're gonna continue that out then, if that's all right with you guys,
Right.
and we'll,
Is-
next month.
May I add, though, as far as the conditions relating to the building itself, within the property lines, we had no issues with that.
Thank you, we'll make a note of that for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we continue this matter until the March 2019 Planning Commission meeting.
March, you want February or March?
Oh, it's,
Wait a minute, to that point,
what am I,
though.
a few days ahead of, February.
No, but to that point, I'd like to pose the question before the motion to city staff. Are these items that we think that the applicant would be able to work out within the next 30 days? That's the thing. I'm getting a head nod from Mr. Moody. Okay, then back over to you, Commissioner Smith.
Then we'll go ahead and
Commission-
move that, we'll go ahead and move that to February then. So I'd like to continue this to the February 2019 Planning Commission meeting.
Thank
I'll
you.
second that.
Thank you. Further discussion? I saw Ms. Diaz there nodding her head. Were you aware of any of these concerns prior to the meeting tonight?
Yeah, I did hear about them just before the meeting.
Well, yeah, just before the meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, typically, we don't negotiate from the dais unless it's very simple, minor items. You know, we do understand that applicants spend a lot of time and money getting to this point. However, those 2 items that were discussed plus the others that we haven't heard about really are staff concerns. And if they're unresolved, then we'll talk about them in February. All right? So we started a motion. Go ahead.
I did the motion.
All right.
Cook, second.
All right, thank you. Nothing further? Please vote. Well, we're going to, all in favor, say aye. The machine is not working.
It's working now. Go.
Oh, is it? Okay. 7 yeses. Okay,
We should start over.
good Lord. So, Commissioner Paris, did you fix it while we weren't looking? I didn't realize that you, I didn't realize you were an electronic whiz. I knew you were a great attorney, but I didn't realize you were,
What are you saying?
oh, too much fun. So we'll see you guys back next month. All right. The next item is item number 3, so without objection, we'll open the public hearing on conditional use permit 18-9, and I should mention that the previous item's hearing is still open. We did not close it, so we did not close the hearing on item number 2, so it's still open. So item number 3 is open. We did not receive a letter on this one either. And who's presenting on this? Mr. Cervantes? No? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Chairman Vos and members of the Planning Commission. This item before you is conditional use permit 18-19, a request for type 21 alcoholic beverage control license for off-sale beer, wine, and distilled spirits for International Supermarket and a waiver from the distance requirement. The subject property is located at 903 West Avenue J in the commercial zone. This location was previously approved for conditional use permit 12-04 in March of 2012 for a Type 21 license for Lancaster International Market, which ceased operation in September of 2016. The CUP then lapsed following a 90-day period of inactivity. The Lancaster Municipal Code requires all alcoholic beverage establishments to obtain a conditional use permit and all primary alcoholic beverage establishments to meet the distance requirements set forth in the code. The LMC also allows an applicant the option to request a waiver from the distance requirement if several findings can be made, including that the alcoholic beverage establishment will serve a specific community need, and that the establishment is not expected to result in any adverse effect on adjacent property, uses, or residents. International Supermarket will serve a community need because it will reestablish a previously approved mini mart, which in addition to alcoholic beverages will serve residents of the area with groceries. Hours of operation for the establishment will be 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to midnight, and alcohol display and sales area will not exceed 5% of the entire sales floor. The applicant will not provide advertisement of the alcoholic beverages, and no outdoor display or additional signage are permitted as conditions of this permit. In addition, employees on duty who sell beer and wine will be at least 21 years of age. If granted, a distance waiver for the alcoholic beverage establishment is not expected to result in any adverse effects. Staff has received an investigator's report form from Deputy Lance Jordan of the Lancaster Sheriff's Station stating that the operation would not be a detriment to public safety based on the criteria outlined in the investigator's report, and recommends approval of the establishment with standard ABC conditions. A notice of public hearing was mailed to all property owners within a 500-foot radius of the project, posted on the subject property, and noticed in the newspaper. Staff has not received any opposition. Staff recommends that Planning Commission adopt Resolution 19-02, approving conditional use permit 18-19, a request for a Type 21 license for International Supermarket and waiver from the distance requirement. This concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Simon. Thank you. Any members have any questions of staff? Do we have speakers on? Do you? Go ahead.
Yeah, I believe I brought this up earlier, but what is the relationship between the former Lancaster International Market that ceased operation in September 2016 and this new applicant that is International Supermarket, which sound very, very similar?
The primary applicant on the application is a different name. However, I don't know if the current applicant has any relation to the previous one. The applicant is here and could be able to clarify that.
Thank you all. Thanks.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
I have a question. Does the request include a request for a mini market?
It was implied that the request for mini mart and alcohol.
Okay, thank you. And
You're welcome.
also, on the location, is the address 903 West Avenue J inclusive of the entire site, or is there a specific unit number?
There's a specific suite and should be suites A through D.
Thank you.
Yep.
You said D or B?
D.
Dog.
So we didn't receive a letter indicating the applicant agrees with the conditions as recommended. We have no speakers on this. I need to hear from the applicant if they are here.
The applicant is here.
Good evening. Did you fill out a speaker's card?
Yeah, I fill it out.
Will you?
Yeah, I have.
Will you please? That way we, no, you don't have to do it immediately. No. I want you to fill it out when you're finished so we have your name and how we contact you, okay? Very good. And what is your name?
Adel Mikel?
Okay. I did not hear the last.
Mikel.
Adele?
Yeah, Adel Mikel.
Mikhail.
Yeah.
All right?
Mikel, yeah.
Mikhail.
Yes.
Or Mikhail.
It's like
Mikhail.
Michael, but it's a different pronounce, yeah.
So, you received the conditions of approval from staff. Have you reviewed them?
Yes,
And do you agree with them all?
I agree, and I have the paper.
And you
signed.
agree to abide by them all?
Yes,
And we're never going to see your face here again if you screw up.
maybe for a new business, maybe, yeah. Yeah.
So I do have some questions, maybe other members do as well. Does anyone have any questions? Go
I
ahead.
do. I'm going to, the same question I asked of the staff. I'm just kind of wondering the history of this business. Are they
No, it's not.
Not related in any way?
No, I have a different business in the same shopping, so I found this is a good environment for a mini market because the area needs.
Okay, so it's just coincidental that it used to be called the Lancaster International Market, and now it's going to be called the International Supermarket?
There is no sign on the store right now, so I don't know if it's an international market before.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
no.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
I didn't quite understand. What is the name of your business going to be?
It's gonna be international because I want to selling mix like an Asian and Middle Eastern, Mexican foods. That
Okay, so it's just going to be called International?
so yeah. This
Or
is the
International Market?
international market.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
International market or international supermarket? Sorry.
It's a big difference. So international market.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a question. Have you spoke to any of the neighboring businesses surrounding you at all or had any conversations with them?
About the market.
Yeah.
I believe yeah. The next door, which is the haircut lady.
So everyone is, their feelings are bringing in a new business. Are they
Yes,
excited?
they're excited because it's gonna bring more business to the shopping.
Okay. And what about any of the businesses, even though we didn't receive any letters, but on the distance requirements, did you talk to any of those businesses by any chance?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? So, you understand, are you clear on the process of why there is the reason for waiver on your application? Do you understand why that's before us?
Because the school around, then,
Because they're sensitive uses.
yes, because the church and the school.
There's also, and correct me, you're applying for a mini mart, in effect, that sells alcohol beverages, including a type 21, which is spirits.
Yes,
Spirits, wine, and beer.
Yes.
Right?
yes, correct.
And you've read the conditions of approval.
Yes, I read it.
So what's the size of alcohol beverage spirits that you can sell?
It's 5% from the whole.
You're going to have to speak up because I don't hear very well.
Okay,
And
I don't know. Right now it's good. It's
What-
gonna be a 5% from the total space. No,
so what's the minimum size of spirit that you can sell?
the minimum size, I don't remember it by heart, but it's like 350 or 375 millimeter.
I don't know. I'm asking you if you
Yeah,
know what
it's
it
like
is. You're the
three-
one that's applying.
350 or 375, I'm not quite sure.
Okay? Are you aware that there are 3 type 21 licenses within a half a mile of your proposed location? One that's a quarter of a mile away, one that's slightly over a quarter of a mile away, and one that's not quite a half a mile away, selling alcohol beverages, in effect liquor stores?
Yes,
And that's really what you're applying for, isn't it? Liquor store with market, right?
it's market more than, it's a liquor is attached to the market, but I'm gonna focus more on market.
No, I know what it
versus-
is.
Yes,
It's a liquor store
Because-
masquerading as as
Yes.
a market, is what it is, from my chair. This was before us in 2012, and frankly, I made a mistake and voted for it. I don't intend to vote for it tonight, because I don't believe we need type 21 sales of spirits anymore in this community. We've got about 21, 22 of them now. We don't need another one, from my point of view. My colleagues may disagree. They all vote their conscience, but I must vote mine. So, you don't sell fresh food either, do you?
we're gonna sell fresh fruit.
Well, it's not in the application.
Is the meat is fresh? We have, the little bar says meat.
All right. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
I do. How successful would your international market be if you were not selling type 21 alcohol?
I'm not quite sure, but I mean, I'll say maybe 50 to 70%.
Can you clarify that? Are you saying 50 to 70% of your sales will be alcohol?
No,
Oh,
the market is going to be like 50, 70% of the sale.
okay, so the question, if you did not sell spirits, how big an effect would that have on your operation?
I'm not sure, we're not operating yet, but I believe it's item for, it's need for market, you know, like item people asking for. But so it's gonna help the market to succeed more.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
So your potential customers who want to buy a, quote, used to be called a pint of cheap vodka can walk 2 blocks in 3 directions and purchase their product, but your business would not be successful without that ability to sell that product, right? That's what you're saying?
No, it's a good environment for market, but I mean, I need the customer to come into my store and find everything that he looking for. So I need to have
There's plenty of other,
If I may, I'm not sure it's
Yeah.
fair for us to be quizzing him like this, nor judging him for his desire to make money in this
Yeah, that's-
city.
that's your opinion.
So rather than treating him like this, I think it's best if we just take this vote now, since I think we've all come to the conclusion we're at, okay?
Well,
I have a question
I
for
do,
staff. I'm sorry.
just, Commissioner Paris, this is the time to ask the applicant. I mean, from my perspective, I
would
did have the
agree.
questions.
I would agree, but I think the way he's being questioned is a bit rude, and this is not what we're here for, guys. We are the Planning Commission. We're here to serve them, not the other way around. So let us please at least act a little more civilly, or just get on with this vote, okay? Thank you.
I have a question for staff. I think it's staff that I have a question for. What's the difference between a liquor store and a mini market? And I guess what I'm wondering is there a point where they can only sell, I mean, don't they have to sell groceries, or would there be a point where, say they can't sell groceries anymore and they're just selling liquor? Or do they have to sell everything under the definition of mini market?
The code makes the distinction between convenience stores and mini marts. Convenience stores are required to sell fresh produce. Mini marts are not.
So the only thing they have to sell in addition to liquor is fresh produce?
This is for a convenience market. For mini marts, fresh produce is not required, just groceries.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
so purporting to be a grocery store that doesn't sell fresh product.
In the staff report, they're defined as a mini mart,
Right.
per the definition set forth in the code.
I know what it is. And frankly, I take deference to Commissioner Paris' comments regarding we're rude, or I'm rude, but certainly I'm not. I'm asking direct questions, and I expect direct answers. If you'd care to offer a motion, Mr. Paris, you're certainly welcome to at any time.
Then I motion that we vote on this matter now. Do I have a second?
You vote, you, excuse me, excuse me.
I don't know how this goes, guys. I'm brand new. I just know we've been
Hold on,
grilling him,
guys.
guys.
Hold on.
And I don't think it's fair. So
Excuse,
rather than keep
excuse
grilling
me, please, address the chair. If you don't mind, Mr. Paris, you know how it works.
That's what I was just saying, I don't.
Okay, let's back up then. And we're going to take a 5-minute break. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we're back in session. Mr. McHale? Welcome back.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to your comments before we proceed?
No, that's all.
Excuse me.
No, that's all.
All right, thank you very much
Thank
for your comments. Anything further from staff?
Nothing more to add.
Okay, thank you. All right, so then without objection, we'll close the public hearing, consider a motion.
I make a motion that we adopt resolution number 19-03 approving conditional use permit number 18-29 to allow a recreation, nope, that's you guys. Don't get too excited over there. You have to wait. All right. Once more. I motion to adopt resolution number 19-02 approving conditional use permit number 18-19 to allow a Type 21 alcohol beverage control license and waiver from distance requirements in an existing tenant space in commercial zone located at 903 West Avenue J.
A second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion fails 4-3. So, Ms. Assistant City Attorney, what can the applicant do in this case?
The applicant has the ability, and we will notify him of the particulars. He has the right to appeal this decision before the city council.
All right, thank you. All right, next item is item number 4. So without objection, conditional use permit 1829 is open.
Planning Commission. Good evening, Chairman Vos and members of the Planning Commission. This item before you is conditional use permit 18-29, a request to allow for a recreational axe throwing center in an existing 2,974 square foot tenant space. Within the Lancaster Marketplace. The Lancaster Municipal Code requires that all entertainment and recreational facilities obtain a conditional use permit to operate within the city of Lancaster. Axe and Dagger is proposing to operate an axe throwing center made up of 5 throwing lanes, each separated by oriented strand board, chain link fencing, and framed with 2x4 wood. Each lane divider is bolted into the concrete floor, with the top of each lane being enclosed by chain link fencing to prevent projectiles from veering into adjacent lanes. Prior to participating in any axe throwing activities, all groups or individuals will be instructed on proper throwing technique and given clear and concise safety instructions by trained staff members. Participants must be at least 10 years of age to partake in any axe throwing. However, all patrons under the age of 18 must be accompanied by a parent or legal guardian. Axe and Dagger does not offer any alcohol to be purchased, nor is alcohol allowed to be consumed on the premises. Patrons who are inebriated prior to entering the facility will not be allowed to participate in any axe throwing activities. Hours of operation for Axe and Dagger will be Thursdays 3 p.m. to 10 p.m., Fridays and Saturdays 1 p.m. to midnight, Sunday 1 p.m. to 10 p.m., and will be closed Mondays, excluding non-major holidays, through Wednesdays. Staff recommends that Planning Commission adopt Resolution 19-03, approving conditional use permit 18-29 to allow a recreational axe throwing center within the Lancaster Marketplace in the Commercial Plan Development Zone. That concludes staff's presentation. The applicant is available for any questions.
Thank you. And as I mentioned previously, we did receive a letter from the applicant indicating they agreed to all the conditions. All right, anyone have any questions of staff?
I have a question.
Go right ahead,
Well,
Mr. Moore.
not for staff, no.
The applicant?
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having us.
Are you left-handed or right-handed thrower?
I'm a left-hander, actually. Yeah. Lot of games.
I too am a left-handed axe thrower.
It's
I've done
always
it
fun
once,
seeing the
but
difference, right?
yeah. Thank you.
So I did have a couple of questions,
Go
Chairman
ahead.
Vos.
So does
One of
Commissioner.
which, when we talked about not being inebriated, those clients would not be allowed to partake. What constitutes inebriated? I mean, how will you tell?
So both of us have actually worked with the public having to see if people are intoxicated or not, allowing them into certain places. I have medical training as well. We can tell when someone has had way too much by their appearance, whether they are capable of making the good choices that you need to make, keeping it in your lane, not having an axe fight with somebody. You know.
Chairman. Chairman Bose.
So we know how to look for those things and see if someone is stumbling. If they come in and they just came from a bar and their buddies are holding them up, we can tell when they are just not capable of making those good decisions.
Okay, all right. And the other question I have is, how much liability insurance are you all taking?
I do have copies of it. We have $2 million liability insurance through Mesa Underwriters.
So 2 million general liability, that's usually the norm, right? So you don't think there's a
It's-
need to have anything additional than the 2 million?
They suggested $1 million. We went for $2 million.
Oh, okay,
So we did a double of it just to cover ourselves as well.
okay. All right, that's all the questions I had.
Go ahead.
My question was the location that you're at, as far as the sound. How are we preventing disturbing the neighbors or?
Of course, I'm going to turn this over to Nicholas Hayes. He's the builder of everything here.
So that was one of my original thoughts when we were talking about this and keeping something off of the actual existing walls to stop sound from going through. We are building a false wall that's going to be located just off of the actual wall, which will deaden the actual impact and not transfer any into the actual wall other than through the required earthquake bracing. So it's minimal transfer through the wall, and our hours are off of most of the hours of the adjacent owners.
Who's the adjacent tenant?
The adjacent tenant on the side that we're proposing for the targets is Cedar Performing Arts, and on the other side of us, it is
Computer care.
The one adjacent to the wall, the pony wall, or
the one
whatever you-
adjacent to where the targets are going to be is Cedar Performing Arts.
Okay. And have you had a chat with your neighbor about your new venture?
We've had chats with both of them. Cedar Performing Arts is very excited about it because they do some weapon combat stuff in their performances, and they're excited to actually be able to go and practice or learn about actually throwing with axes and daggers. And then on the computer side, they're excited that it's going to bring more people to the area.
And you said you'd done this previously? You had previous experience with this? I'm just trying to, in my head, see what that looks like inside. And
Of course, I don't know if the video is actually working, but we plan to build it up to code with the WATL standards, the World Axe Throwing League. They do require a certain amount of room in between the lanes, as you'll see.
This
Oh,
is
nice.
from the 2017 World Championship event. The 2018, which was just happened in December, was actually broadcast on ESPN.
so are you saying that your walls are going to be similar to, so your false wall is like this wall along here?
So the false wall is essentially the two back from the target. So there's a false wall that's going to be 2x4, just built like a regular wall out of 2x4 studs. And then on top of that, there is the OSB oriented strand board. And then outside of that is a 2x10 target holding set of boards, and then 2x10 target boards. So the actual amount of wood in that full wall is just around 8 inches.
So I think of axe throwing generally as, I did it in Alaska. But it was a big stump of wood that used to be a tree. So is this a growing trend like across the U.S., like these indoor axe throwing? Because I think, as I said, we all go back to, it's more of an outdoor activity at summer camp or something, but
It's actually not just across the U.S., it's actually worldwide now.
Wow.
So the WATL, I believe, is in 11 different countries. They're the World Axe Throwing League. A lot of it started up in Canada and made its way down the East Coast and Midwest. Southern California hasn't had much of the influx yet. The first one opened in LA County just back in September, and before that there was only one in San Diego.
Do you recommend this for team building?
Very much so. We
you
actually
have
think
it.
it would be.
if you like your team, yeah.
Team building.
I'd say come on over, we'll block out the whole place for you guys.
It's competitive, just like bowling, just like pool, just like darts.
Yeah, I think of darts
It's
when
just a
you're-
different twist on it.
Yeah.
So how do you avoid the potential of, shall we call it, side betting? Which would be kind of
Like darts.
a challenge.
So our facility's small enough to where we can actually monitor all the lanes easily. Everything's within visual, no more than 60 feet away. As well as our occupancy, as defined by our engineered drawings, is only about 68 people. So there's not a lot of extra room that it can be hidden from us, as well as we have cameras around the whole floor.
I have a question. How long, when you come in to do this activity, is it normal, like a half an hour? What's the time frame that you can purchase?
Of course, at this time, we're doing an hour or longer. We suggest if you're doing more, have more people, that way you can have more fun with it. We might actually go down to half hours at some point, just as like mini sessions, but for right now, we start at 1 hour.
This is really cool.
We're glad to hear that.
When you're a beginner or you've never done this before, if you were throwing it and trying to perfect, or maybe even not perfect, but maybe even just get it on the target, I would think you might be just exhausted.
It can be.
Yeah.
Our axes, I believe they're 3.5 pounds.
Oh,
So repeatedly throwing that can wear you down, which is why for smaller groups, we're looking at going down to the 30 minutes, but for groups of around 8, an hour worth of time, especially with the 2 targets side by side, the way it was shown, would give you enough time to throw, but I don't believe it would overexert you.
sounds like fun.
Almost like bowling, if you think, you're holding a 10, 12, 15-pound ball, you're not going to go over and over and over. Other people get a chance to.
So do you provide the, all the equipment, the axes or daggers or whatever they're,
So
or can folks bring their own?
it's both. So we do provide axes and throwing knives. They're stainless steel throwing knives that we have. The axes are Estwing camping axes with a 2-pound head and a 14-inch handle, which the axes all fit into the World Axe Throwing League standards and rules. But patrons would be allowed to bring their own axes. We would inspect them on coming in to make sure that they're not rusted, deteriorated, anything like that, where they might break and cause injuries.
What about stars?
So we've talked about stars. One of our worries is that they might fit through the chain link. So once we get all the chain link stretched and in place, we could see how they would work with our lanes and determine then whether it's safe or not.
Because I know kids gonna try to find a way to bring their toys to use them correctly.
Kids.
We're all kids at heart.
So that raises a question for staff. Would they be required to come back to us, or would that be a staff review of additional types of devices, stars, as was pointed out?
No, that would be administrative. That's more programmatic than use.
Good. So if you do expand whatever the devices that you are throwing, or that your clients are throwing, so you'd want to make sure that's reviewed by staff prior, just so you don't get sideways somewhere.
Of course.
Okay? Anything more you'd like to share with us?
Just in case it's needed, just for that extra sense of security, there is a liability waiver form that you have to fill out at the beginning. And for the minors, because there will be the children that are under 18, they have to have their legal guardian or parent sign for them, and the parent must be with them to be responsible for them.
All right, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything further from members? So without objection, we'll close the public hearing. Consider a motion.
I move that we adopt resolution number 19-03, approving conditional use permit number 18-29 to allow a recreational axe throwing center in an existing 2,974 square foot tenant space within the Lancaster Marketplace in the Commercial Plan Development Zone located at 2330 Mall Loop Road, Suite 109.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All right, anything further? Please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Very good, thank you. That concludes our action items for this evening. The next item is Community Development Manager's comments. Ms. De La Cruz?
I don't have anything substantial to add. Just wanted to let you know that the agendas for February, we are currently at about 7 items. So it'll be a full night. We'll have coffee
Cookies?
Yes, coffee.
and almonds.
Yes.
But that's just to prepare you in advance that it will be a longer agenda than the usual. That's all for this evening.
All right, very good, thank you. On the commission agenda, I mentioned previously that all the commission chairs, all the 4 commissions that are city commissions, all the chairpersons met and reviewed and created a code of conduct and ethics document to share with the city council for their review and approval last city council meeting last week. Unfortunately, the item was continued, so it'll be taken up at the first meeting in February. I don't expect any concerns. It was just a matter, I think, of the length of the agenda last week. So if that is approved, then it will be shared with members of all the commissions, and there'll be a opportunity to review it and agree to it. All right, non-agendized items. This portion of the meeting allows an opportunity for the public to address the commission on any city business. Under state legislation, no action can be taken on non-agendized items. Members of the public should be aware of this when addressing the commission regarding items not specifically referenced on the agenda. So please complete a speaker's card for the recording secretary. Do we have any speakers?
There are no speakers.
There are no speakers. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in the audience. Anybody, you sure you wouldn't like to talk to us about anything? You get first, second, and third last chance. All right, then we stand adjourned to our special meeting for agenda review Monday, February 11th, 2019 at 4:30 p.m. here in these chambers. Thank you. Thank you all.
Yes, I'm keeping mine. No, he was asking if we could keep the list. I'm keeping mine with the alcohol.